Greetings and welcome to the face reading Secrets of the People in the News. Just to remind you, if you're interested in being notified every time I post a video or an audio, please click subscribe on your screen. Today we'll speak about Bernie Sanders, the Democratic presidential candidate. As always, I will first talk about his personality, which is embodied in the form of his face. And then I will talk about his profile, which is the embodiment of the temperament. 90% of who Bernie really is. It's his inherent characteristics with which he came into this world. Bernie Sanders, look at this picture. This is the face he wants you to see when you look at him. That's the face he posted on his website under Meet Bernie. You see Mr. Sanders and his wife. By the way, they're a perfect morphological match. This is a relationship that will last. I have to tell you, it was a real fun experience finding photos for this reading. I've never seen a person with so many facial expressions. Unfortunately, these days, you see so many public figures with frozen and moving faces from the Botox injections. Not Bernie, he's real. Forget about this photoshopped image that you see right here. Let's look at the real Bernie Sanders. He does not hide. Before I do the reading, I want to disclose something. I will say some wonderful things about this guy, but I also want you to know I am not Bernie Sanders' supporter. In fact, politically, I believe that he's totally on the wrong path. Nevertheless, my responsibility is to do a fair reading. And he's an extraordinary guy as a human being. So first, let's see where he's coming from. Bernie at his tender age of late teens. As you can see, the young Bernie is very much a Saturn, almost Uranus. And as you may remember, if someone has a certain personality, that is face, but also looks like some other personality slash face, it means that the person possesses qualities of both. So what do we know about the Saturn first? They're very reliable. They must have order to be comfortable. They have more perseverance in what they do than any personality. They're always organized and meticulous and always know what they have done so far and what is left to accomplish. They're positive pessimists, see the downside of everything, but do not get scared by problems. They get excited about overcoming them. This is because overcoming challenges is what gives their life meaning, very much like any pure abilities lives. The Saturn like to work on specific details. They take one point and go deeply with it. Sadness in the Saturn changes into anger, which again fuels the will to overcome. The Saturn are deep thinkers with philosophical inclination. But remember, Bernie is almost a Uranus. So what do we know about Uranus? The Uranus personality includes all characteristics of what the Saturn traits are, with some being taken to the extreme. They're not only deep philosophical thinkers, for example, but they are far advanced in their thinking and often are visionaries ahead of their time. While Saturn's behavior is always measured and predictable, a Uranus may be quite eccentric. That's where Bernie was at his younger age. Also look at his eyebrows, the two arrows. His eyebrows are straight across, without curving, meaning that he's quite stubborn. Let's look what happened to our young Saturn as he aged. Here Bernie is in his late 20s, maybe early 30s, still a stubborn Saturn, but look at the arrow. The eyebrow is beginning to curve slightly. He's beginning to get a bit more flexible. But look at some 20 or so years later, 1991. Maybe because he became a congressman that year, or it was a third year of him being married to Jane, who, as I said, is a great match for him. Look at what happened to Bernie. His eyebrows are totally curved. He is no longer stubborn. He learned to be flexible. Is it politics or the wife? Only God knows. The shape of Bernie's face is still Saturn. But let's keep going. We jump to the present. Believe me, I could go slowly and tell you more of what happened in the interim. The problem is I'm afraid that the reading will become too long and I will lose you. So, Bernie Sanders of 2016. Here we are, Bernie at the ripe age of 76. See the arrows? The brows are curved. Bernie has internalized greater flexibility. Yet he is still a passionate Saturn, but with the sun forehead. You see the dome forehead? That's the sun forehead. Sun gives his intellectual aspect, the forehead is an intellect, gives an unusually expressive and passionate Saturn space to detach from the experience and to intellectualize about it. This creates difficulties, by the way, for any Saturn to feel such emotions as anger, resentment, and disappointment, as well as to express what they feel once those emotions are identified. Looking at the many photos I downloaded of Bernie, I think that Bernie channels his emotions into his facial expressions. And they're hilarious. I've never seen so many expressions. Only a talented actor can have so many, and that is good acting. With Bernie, it's all real. He could be a character in a book for children learning how to identify feelings. I can just see a book titled The Book of Feelings. Let's look at them. Here, picture 1, Bernie is happy. Picture 2, Bernie is unhappy. Picture 3, Bernie is pleased. Picture 4, Bernie is upset. Picture 5, Bernie is satisfied with the outcome. Picture 6, Bernie is disappointed. Picture 7, Bernie is enjoying himself. Picture 8, Bernie is disapproving of someone or something. Picture 9, Bernie is appreciative. Picture 10, Bernie is defiant. Picture 11, Bernie is filled with joy. Picture 12, Bernie being punitive. Before I go any further, notice that Bernie's left eye is always slightly closed compared to the right eye. So seriously, there is something in his past that he would rather not see. And now let's go back to the children's book. Picture 13, Bernie is mad. 14, he is furious. 15, suspicious. 16, exasperated. 17, miserable. 18, mischievous. And all those guys are in one Bernie Sanders. I didn't do this display, by the way, of all these faces just to entertain you. I want you to see this man is real. And for those who disagree with his ideas, and I'm one of them, he is a noble and formidable opponent. I just can see if Donald Trump were to win the Republican nomination and Bernie the Democratic, and both of these guys are very intense, the exchange would go, Trump. You! Even if I take a gun and shoot everyone in this room, even dead, they will still support me. And Bernie responds, you better shut your filthy mouth right now. In the United Socialist State of America, no offensive exchange like this will be permitted, and the garbage like you will not be allowed into respectable places. And from there they go. Okay, let's get serious and go to Bernie's temperament now. And here he is, bilious. If you look at picture 1, young Bernie, or picture 4 or 5 or 6, Bernie an adult, you see the forehead and the chin are almost on the same level. The picture 2 also reveals that his chin may be slightly ahead of the whole face, which makes him partially sanguine. And look at picture 3, he definitely has a nervous cast, and the corner of his jaw is certainly nervous. So we have an interesting combination here. On one hand, as a bilious, Bernie Sanders is willful, organized, detail-oriented, a long-term planner, has the will to endure and to keep going till he gets what he wants. He's a positive pessimist, sees problems everywhere, but looks at them as challenges to overcome. On the other hand, his chin is, as we said, sanguine. He may act powerful at the beginning, but then run out of steam. Remember, the nervous corner of the jaw stands for the same, running out, not having enough endurance. For sure, the nervous cast, see the bow-like shape of his profile, picture 3, plays a role in Bernie's life. So Bernie, in addition to all I said, is also intellectual, quickest mind of all, needs to see quick results, hypersensitive, charming, fun to be around, very creative and volatile. That's why you see so many faces. To wrap up the whole talk about Bernie, if you like his ideas and if he were to win as a president, he would impress you with his commitment to keeping his word, his sensitivity, creativity, quick-mindedness, his impatience, his charm, honestly, and the volatility of his mood. And that's all about Bernie Sanders for now. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next week.